Welcome to Transforming the Toddler Years, a Core 4 parenting podcast for conscious, cycle-breaking parents ready to turn toddler tantrums into teachable moments. Hi, I'm Cara Tyrrell, a lifetime lover of littles, mom to 2 grown and flown girls, and an early childhood educator. Through the show, I teach you my collaborative parenting methodology for nurturing your little human's mind, body, and spirit. Because how you connect and collaborate in the first 5 years is how you raise happy, healthy kids who grow into the best version of themselves and find true success in school and life. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Tonight is when I start my spring cohort of my Transforming the Toddler Years course with really heads up mamas and daddies and grandparents and all the caregivers who signed up to lean into their collaborative parenting journey and raise beautiful humans. And so I always think things through and I get all in my heart space and read their intake forms, what their goals are for their transformations. And it gets me in that mindset and perspective space. And so today I want to talk about seeing the world through your child's eyes when they're crying. It is so ingrained in so many of us to use words that sound like stop crying because we're overwhelmed by that sensory input. The way we're triggered by what it sounds like to hear them cry on every level, not just auditorily, but that heart space really gets us. Stop crying. So I want to share with you today from your child's heart space and head space, what they hear, what they think, and what they feel when we say that. Crying is an expression. It's expressive emoting that moves dysregulated energy through our bodies. Absolutely, there are lots of different reasons that your child cries. And some of them are manipulative because they are toddlers and they're trying to learn what the space around them feels like and what they can get away with. They're looking for the boundary lines. I'm not going to tackle the manipulative crocodile tears type of crying today. So I wanted to get that out of the way so that we can just lean into the real tears, the real crying that comes from a place that's deep, deep, deep within. I am not okay internally right now, so I need to externally show it and get it out so I can move past it and be okay internally again. Regulation versus dysregulation. When we say, stop crying, what we're really saying is stop feeling. Oof. That hits, right? When I'm upset as an adult and I've got tears flowing, I do not need someone coming up to me and saying, stop crying. I need someone to come up to me and say, how can I help? Can I help? Or is this something that you just need to do? Is feel your feelings. Stop crying internalizes as hit pause on that feeling. Can you deal with that later, please, when I'm not around? It really segregates and severs those relationship bonds that you're working so hard to build. You can tell me anything. You can trust me. I will hear your words. Well, just like you're willing to hear their words, you've got to be willing to hear their feelings, to see their feelings emoted bodily, whether it's through flailing arms, kicking feet, or tears streaming down faces. Those are feelings moving through their body, And we need to hold space for them while keeping them and everyone around them safe. The second reason that these are very harsh words to use, even if you're not attaching a harsh or angry tone to them, is that stop crying interprets from your child's perspective to mean stop communicating with me. Crying is communicating. Your infant used that one strategy to communicate all kinds of things with you throughout their little life. In the very beginning, you did not hold them accountable for their crying. You understood it was a signal. Oh, you have a need that's not being met. Let me check your diaper. Let me get you a bottle. Let me hold and rock you. As soon as they leveled up into a little person who became far more complicated internally, and the process of elimination to solving their problem was no longer just three things. Oh, you're tired. Let me help you rest. Is when the crying became confusing. Because there's so many reasons they could be using that as a communication tool. They're frustrated. They're upset. They're sad. They're lonely. I mean, the list just goes on and on, right? They miss mom, but you're now sitting home with them, Dad. There's so many reasons why they cry. And when the list got dictionary long is when it got hard. And I get that. But when you say, stop crying, you're asking them, you're telling them, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Just stop communicating with me. And because they are tiny, beautiful, brilliant little creatures who take the information that comes in and process it to mean, oh, in every setting, for every topic, even when I'm just using words, maybe they don't want me to communicate with them either. And so they get to the point where they can talk to you with words. And those beautiful emotions, right? The happy, bubbly voice, the sad, struggling voice, the tired, overwhelmed voice. And they say, well, I don't think they want to hear it. So I'll just keep it to myself. Because if there's two things that we know for absolute sure as humans, regardless of how old we are, we cannot stop feeling. And we desperately want to communicate it to somebody. So instead of stop crying, let's change this language. Let's invite them to have a space to emote. And if doing that feels a little hard for you right now, if it's just so hard to make the huge leap from I don't really want to be around this, hear this, see this, or feel this myself, to, yes, let me hold full and complete space for you, then try this. Use a narration technique that sounds like this. Wow, you're really crying right now. You're crying really loudly. You must have a big emotion moving through you. That's it. Use these 3 mini narration mantras to do 2 things. Remind yourself what's happening in front of you. Even if you're still feeling agitated and frustrated and irritated and triggered, that's fine. Remind yourself by being a mirror for your child of what's happening in front of them. Even if they're so far gone, they actually can't hear you in that moment. They're not going to process anything you just said. That's okay too. This is a self-sustaining strategy. I am choosing to be here in this moment, even though it's hard. You can say that to yourself too. Do that. Because even if it looks like your child is not responding to your words, those few little observational sentences, wow, you are crying right now. You are crying really loudly. You must have a big feeling moving through you, a big emotion moving through you, is how you start to create that space, is how you keep the permission lines open. Yes, you're still allowed to communicate with me. Yes, I will still hear you, even if it's hard for me on some days and in some moments. I hope this has been helpful and that you'll sit with it, practice it a little bit before the next moment you need to use it so that you can recognize your trigger and say, oh, I have a strategy for this. I so look forward to sitting with this next group of collaborative caregivers this evening. And if you are thinking, oh my gosh, maybe I should have signed up for this class. I really do need this, but I've missed the deadline. You can go ahead and message me today on Instagram. Send me a DM. I will get back to you. It's always me. Nobody manages that for me. I will get back to you today, and we will find a space for you in this cohort. Until our next episode, stay mindful and proactive as we raise this next generation to be amazing human beings.